Have you ever wanted to be a financial detective? To look past the headlines and find out what's really going on inside a company? Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're taking a deep dive into cybersecurity giant Palo Alto Networks by deconstructing one of their official quarterly reports to find the true story hidden in the numbers.
See, here's the thing. Every single public company out there has to, by law, tell the absolute unvarnished truth about its business.
And they do it in a special document they file with the government 4 times a year. This is a direct pipeline into the health of a company with zero marketing spin. It's the real deal.
So, you want to crack one open with us? Let's do it. The document we're looking at is called a Form 10-Q. It's filed with the SEC, and honestly, the best way to think about it is like a regular health checkup for a business. It's a no-frills, comprehensive look at how the company has been doing for the last 3 months. So, first things first, the biggest question anyone has about a company is pretty simple, right? How are they doing? Are they making money? Let's check the vital signs. And whoa, the very first number we pull from their financial statements is a big one. For just the 3 months ending on October 31st, Palo Alto Networks pulled in $2.47 billion in revenue. That's billion with a B. Now, a number by itself is just a number. It's the context that tells the story. That $2.47 billion, well, this time last year, it was $2.14 billion. That's a 16% jump year over year. So right off the bat, our first health check is looking pretty good. This company is definitely growing.
Of course, revenue is just the total money coming in the door. The real question is, what's left after you pay all the bills? After all the costs, salaries, research, marketing, they were left with a pure profit or net income of $334 million in just 3 months. Yeah, not bad at all.
Okay, so we know they're making a lot of money, but how exactly? Where is all that revenue actually coming from? Let's dig into their business model. And this chart, this tells you almost everything you need to know. Look at that breakdown. Over 82% of their entire business comes from subscription and support. This is a huge clue. It tells us they're not just a company that sells you a piece of hardware and then says goodbye. So let's break that down. Product revenue, that little 17.5% slice, that's the one-time sale of stuff like their firewall hardware. But that massive 82.5% chunk, that's recurring revenue. It's the money that comes in month after month, year after year, from ongoing services. Think threat prevention, cloud security, all that good stuff. For any business, this is the absolute gold standard. It's predictable, it's stable, and it means your customers are sticking around for the long haul.
All right, so that's the what. But now, what about the what's next? A 10Q isn't just a look in the rearview mirror. It actually gives us a roadmap for the future, and we find that in a section called Management's Discussion and Analysis. And right there, in their own words, they lay out their entire game plan. It's a 3-part strategy. First, platformization. They want to be the one-stop shop for security. Second, AI integration. They're baking artificial intelligence into everything they do. And third, and this one is a really big deal, strategic acquisitions. A huge part of their growth plan is just buying other companies.
And believe me, they are not kidding about that last part. As a perfect example, they recently announced a monster deal to acquire another huge player in the security world, an identity security company called CyberArk. And the price tag, just look at that. We're talking about an equity value of around $25 billion. This is not just a small purchase. This is a massive, strategic bet on the future. And it makes total sense, right? Palo Alto secures the network, and CyberArk secures who is allowed on that network. You put them together, and you're that much closer to offering the total package. But, and this is important, a 10Q is not a sales pitch. Companies are legally required to tell you what could go wrong. We find this in sections like risk factors and commitments. Basically, this is the chapter about what keeps the CEO up at night. So even for a giant like this, there are worries. And you don't have to guess what they are. Here's a direct quote from their report. We face intense competition in our market, and we may lack sufficient financial or other resources to maintain or improve our competitive position. It's a sobering, mandatory reminder that, in business, nothing is ever guaranteed. And it's not just general worries. They have to disclose very specific problems, too. Take a look at this.
They're in the middle of a major legal battle over patent infringement. There's already a judgment against them for $114 million, and the company has set aside $147 million on their books just in case to cover the judgment plus interest. This is a real, tangible problem they're dealing with. And how about this number? $6.7 billion. That's how much they are on the hook for in future non-cancelable purchase commitments. Think of it as bills that are definitely coming due in the future, mostly for things like cloud services. That is a massive financial obligation they have to plan for.
Okay, we've seen the good, we've seen the bad, and we've seen the plan for the future. So what's the big picture here? Let's put all the puzzle pieces together and see what story this 10Q is actually telling us.
When you step back and connect the dots, a really clear narrative takes shape. You have a company with strong, double-digit growth. Its business is built on a super stable foundation of recurring subscription revenue. It has a bold, aggressive strategy to get even bigger by buying other companies. But it's also facing some serious headwinds, like fierce competition and expensive lawsuits. It's the whole story, all found inside one single document.
See, every 10Q tells a story, and now you know the basics of how to read one. So after seeing the impressive growth, the smart business model, that bold strategy, and the very real risks, what story does this one tell you?